Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. Today I'd like to take just a quick look at how, as a standard trader, in other words if you're new to MTPredictor, you can use the STF color, which is our strong trend filter color down here, to help filter your trades in the direction of the main or larger degree trend. You can see here, this is a 3-minute chart of the NQ. We have some buy setups and also some sell setups here, that particularly these ones here would have resulted in a losing trade. By the way, these three here were all double tops, so this would actually only be one trade here and then one trade here, so two trades here in total. But nevertheless, they were against the trend, and as such would have been losing trades. So let's see how we do this. The STF works just by a simple color code. If it's blue, the larger degree trend is up. If it's black, the larger degree trend is flat. And if I scroll back, see if I can find where the market is dropping. No, I can't, because the market is going up all the time there. But if the STF is red, excuse me, the trend is down. So the guidelines for standard MTPredictor traders, or if you're new to the software, is if the STF is blue or black, you can take buy setups. If it is red or black, you can take sell setups. But if it is blue, like it is here, you want to avoid the sell setups. So in this chart here, this first buy setup was blue, so it would have been okay to take. This sell setup here was blue, so you want to avoid it. This history triangle here, in other words, the setup was that was here, was black. The STF was black, so that would have been valid to take. These ones here, again, only two, because the double tops were blue, so they should be avoided. This last one towards the end of the day here was blue, so could have been taken. So let's see what the result of this would have been. If we right mouse click, select automatic setup, click on the blue buy bar here, you can see we had a DP buy, market went up to the first target. But let's assume you're a standard trader and you then had a sell setup here, a sell setup on this bar here, which would reverse your long trade to a short. So what would have been the profit from our first buy setup into this sell here? Well, if we do the manual risk reward, you can see that if I come up to this level here, this is where the short trade would have been. It would have been a profit of 1.8R. So that's the long from the DP here up into what would have been a sell here. So I'll just note that down, plus 1.8R. Remember, we look at profits not in dollars but in terms of risk units, and you'll see why in a minute. So this was 1.8R, in other words a profit of 1.8 greater than your initial risk. This sell setup here would have come in short here, been stopped out here for a minus 1R. In other words, minus 1 risk unit, 1R. You can see that our position sizing calculates how many contracts to trade to keep our initial risk small, hence keeping our risks down to minus 1R. So far we're plus 1R, minus 1. This would have been avoided because you're against the blue STF. These ones would have been avoided because you're against the blue STF. This one here, towards the end of the day, you would have taken. So let's put the analysis on the blue buy bar here, and as you can see the market went up into the first target, which is here, for plus 2.1R. So in reality you would have had three trades, one long, one short, which would have been a losing trade, one long. Let's total up the R's. So remember we had plus 1.8 minus 1 plus 2.1 equals 2.9. So on this chart overall yesterday, the net result of our buy DP here, our losing sell setup here, and our buy TS1 at the end of the day, filtering in the direction of the STF color, so avoiding these sells and avoiding this sell, would have been plus 2.9R, or almost 3R. Now remember, if we take a risk of 2% or maybe 1% if we're a newer trader, that's either a 6% almost or 3%, well 2.9% return on your capital as a result of these trades here. So a good day overall. But do you see how the standard traders or newer traders amongst you could have used the STF color here to then filter your trades to be in the direction of the large degree trend? That would have helped avoid losing trades like these ones here that were against the STF color. So again, very easily for buys we look for a blue STF or a black STF. For sells we look for a red STF or a black STF. And if we are looking to sell and the STF is blue, we avoid it, like in these examples here. Or let's imagine that this was a buy setup and the STF was red, well then we'd avoid that. So the color of the STF basically allows us to filter our trades in the direction of the larger degree trend.